Let us consider the idea of compatible observables. Suppose observable means a measurable physical quantity. We can also call measurables. Okay, observable physical quantity, or observing means measuring, measurable physical quantity. So what is meant by compatible observables or compatible physical quantities? We know that every physical quantity is represented by Hermitian operator. So consider two operators. When we say two observables or physical quantities, equivalently it means two operators. If two operators A and B are compatible operators, if A and B are compatible operators, or the corresponding physical quantities are compatible observables, then they commute with each other. Okay. In other words, two commuting operators are compatible operators, or two compatible operators always commute with each other. And if A and B are incompatible, that means not compatible, incompatible operators, then we can say they don't commute with each other. Commutator is non-zero. So this is the idea of compatible and incompatible operators. Let us explore their properties further. Okay, before that, let us consider examples of them. Already we have studied the commutation relations between spin operators. We know that the S square operator commutes with let us say SH, okay, or SX or SY, okay. So we can say that S square and SH are compatible operators. Okay, and we know that two components of two spin operators do not commute with each other. This is a commutation relation. SXXY equal to IH cross SH and cyclically. So if you take any two components, let us say SX and SY are incompatible. Okay. Okay, let us come back to compatible. So we will consider compatible operators first and explore their properties, and then we look at incompatible operators. So first let us consider compatible operators. Suppose we have two compatible operators A and B. Okay. And suppose these operators act on the vector space of the system, or we try to which means that we try to measure these compatible observables in a particular state of a system. So it means that when these operators act on the vector space of the system, we can say that the space of the system, or let us say A has eigenkets ket A1, ket A2, ket A3, etc. Okay, and B has eigenkets ket B1, ket B2, ket B3, etc. These are Hermitian operators, so these eigenkets form complete set. That means the number of eigenkets is equal to dimension of the vector space. So these eigenkets of A, since they form a complete set, they can be chosen as a basis of the vector space and of the system. And this is another Hermitian operator. Its eigenkets form a complete set, so this can also be chosen as the basis of the vector space of the system. So when these operators act on the vector space of the system, then the vector space of the system can be considered to be spanned by these basis vectors. Okay, this can be considered as the basis vectors, and this can also be considered as the basis vector. So we can visualize it something like this. So let us say okay, I am just showing only 3 basis vectors. So actually the number can be very large, even infinite. Okay, so let us say this is sketch A1, sketch A2, sketch A3, etc. Okay, and similarly the same vector space can be considered to be spanned by the basis vectors of which are the eigenkets of this second operator. So something like this, sketch B1, sketch B2. Remember that these eigenkets of a Hermitian operator are mutually orthogonal. We can also make them orthonormal. So A1, A2, A3, A4, etc. are one set of orthonormal basis for the vector space. Ket B1, Ket B2, Ket B3, Ket B4, etc. are another set of orthonormal eigenkets for the same vector space. Okay, so these are basis states of the same vector space. Just like a 3-dimensional vector space, we can choose the basis vectors I, J, K. We can choose theta, phi, rho, phi, psi, etc. Theta, r theta phi. Okay, in spherical polar coordinates we use r theta phi. If we use cylindrical polar coordinates, we can choose rho, phi, z. So in this way, the same vector space can be considered to be spanned by one set of orthonormal bases, which are the eigenkets of this operator A. Another set of orthonormal bases, which are the eigenkets of the operator B. And remember, these two operators are compatible operators. Then the question is there any relationship between these two eigenkets? Okay, how are they connected to each other? This theorem gives the answer to that question. Suppose A and B are compatible operators, and the eigenvalues A are non-degenerate. Let us consider this special case. Eigenvalues of A are non-degenerate. Then the matrix of B defined in the eigenkets of A is diagonal. Okay, let us see what is the meaning of this. Remember that A and B are two compatible operators, and they are acting on the vector space of the same system, or they are acting on the same vector space of the system. Then this vector space can be spanned by the orthonormal eigenkets of A as well as orthonormal eigenkets of B. Let us look at the eigenkets of A. Suppose the vector space is spanned by the orthonormal eigenkets of A, and these eigenkets are non-degenerate. Okay, corresponding to each eigenvalue there is only one eigenket. That is the meaning of non-degenerate. Corresponding to one eigenvalue there is only one eigenket. If corresponding to one eigenvalue there are more eigenkets, more than one eigenkets, it means degenerate. Okay, the eigenvalues are degenerate. So suppose here the eigenvalues of A are non-degenerate. So all these eigenkets are which are forming the basis of the vector space are non-degenerate. Then let us say we want to define the operator B, or the matrix elements of B, in terms of the eigenkets of A. Always an operator has a matrix representation only in a particular basis. Okay, once we have an operator is there as an abstract quantity. Once we choose a basis for the vector space, we can have a matrix representation of the operator in terms of that basis. Okay, so for operator A as well as for operator B, let us choose the basis as the eigenkets of A. Okay, so if we try to define matrix B in the eigenkets of A, then we can show that this matrix will be diagonal. Okay, so let us try to prove this. And before going to that, let us understand that this point, we know that an operator can be expressed as a matrix in terms of a particular basis. If this basis is an eigenbasis, that means if this basis vectors are eigen vectors or eigenkets of this operator, then the operator will be diagonal. I mean, the matrix of the operator will be diagonal. That means if you represent the matrix of an operator in its own eigenkets, that type of a basis is called eigenbasis. So we can say an operator the matrix of an operator is diagonal in its eigenbasis. Okay, this result can be easily shown. So let me put it as a note here. The matrix of an operator is diagonal. That means there will be only diagonal elements in its own eigenkets, which means that in the basis of its own eigenkets. Always matrix representation of an operator is defined in terms of a basis. If the bases are eigenkets of the same operator, then we call it eigenbasis. Okay, so in its own eigenkets or in its own eigenbasis, matrix of an operator is diagonal. It can be easily shown. See, consider the matrix element of an operator, let us say A. So my point is that this operator A, if you define, we are talking about defining matrix of operator B in the eigenkets of A. So we can ask the question, what about the matrix of A in its own eigenkets? What about the matrix of A in the eigenkets of A? The answer is that it is diagonal. It's ensured that it is diagonal. Okay, let us see that. So let us say matrix element of A in its own eigenkets. Okay, so this ket A prime, ket A double prime, ket A triple prime, etc. are eigenkets of A generally. You can also take A1, A2, A3, etc. So let's consider the matrix element of A in its own eigenkets. So maybe consider a matrix element like this. And let me take the ket vector as A prime and the bra vector as A double prime. This A prime, A double prime, A triple prime, etc. are eigenkets of A. So this is one matrix element. Okay, in the row A double prime, in the column A prime. Okay. Now, since these are eigenkets of A, it means that when operator A acts on an eigenket, we get an eigenvalue times the eigenket. Okay, this ket A prime is labeled after the eigenvalue A prime. So the result of operator A acting on the eigenket is eigenvalue times eigenket. It satisfies the eigenvalue equation. So when A, let's say A is acting on the ket vector, then we get bra vector A double prime. The result is A prime ket A prime, where this A prime is the eigenvalue, okay, which is real. We know that eigenvalue of a Hermitian operator, eigenvalues of a Hermitian operator are real. So we can take it outside this inner product. So A prime, which is a scalar, a real scalar, inner product between A double prime and A prime. And this A double prime, A prime, A triple prime, etc. are eigenkets of the operator A. So we know that eigenkets of a Hermitian operator are orthogonal to each other. Okay, they are orthonormal. We can make them normalized also. So we can write this as delta A prime, A double prime. Kronecker delta. If A double prime is not equal to A prime, the inner product is 0 because they are orthogonal. If A double prime equal to A prime, the inner product is 1 because they are normalized. So we get this. See this, the matrix element is equal to some constant A prime multiplied by Kronecker delta. It means that if A double prime, now look at this, if A double prime is not equal to A prime, right hand side is 0. That means if the row index and column index are different, right hand side is 0. That if row index and column index are different means you have off diagonal elements. That element is not a diagonal element. Then the result is 0. So all the off diagonal elements are 0. Now if row index is equal to column index, this Kronecker delta is 1 and we get a constant. Okay, and this constant is nothing but the eigenvalue of A. Okay, so row index equal to column index means we get diagonal elements like A11, A12, A13, etc. diagonal elements. So we get only the diagonal elements are non-zero. Okay, that means the matrix will be diagonal. And what will be these diagonal elements? Eigenvalues of A. Okay, so the matrix of A will look like this. A1, 0, 0, etc. 0, A2, 0, etc. etc. It will look like this. Only the diagonal elements will be non-zero. Like this. So the matrix of the operator will be diagonal in its own eigenkets or in its eigenbasis. Okay, and the diagonal elements are eigenvalues of the operator. So this is ensured. That's why we are not talking about what will be the operator matrix representation of A in its own eigenvalue. It will be diagonal. Now this theorem says that if two operators are compatible operators, okay, and if the eigenvalues of A are known to each other, we will see what is the importance of this condition, and then the matrix of E defining the eigenkets of A. Remember, the vector space of the system is now spanned by both the eigenkets of A as well as the eigenkets of B, either the set of eigenkets of A or the set of eigenkets of B. Let us choose eigenkets of A as the basis of the vector space. Then already we know that matrix of A will be diagonal in that eigenbasis. The theorem says that matrix of B will also be diagonal in that eigenbasis. Okay, eigenbasis means eigenkets of A. Okay, let's try to prove this. Let us start with the idea that A and B are compatible operators. That is, the commutator of A and B is 0. Remember that commutator is an operator. So let us take the matrix element of this commutator. Okay, in the eigenkets of A. Now we assume that the vector space is spanned by the eigenkets of A. Okay, so let us say the eigenkets of A are like this: A prime, A double prime, etc. These are the eigenkets of A. The vector space is now spanned by the eigenkets of A. And let us take the matrix element of this commutator, which is an operator, in terms of the eigenkets of A. So it is like this. Take A double prime. This is the operator A prime. Okay. Let us expand this commutator. So we get AB minus BA. Okay. We can split this as two matrix elements. So we have A double prime, AB, A prime. This is one matrix element minus A double prime, BA, A prime. Okay. Now look at here. Let's consider the first matrix element. This A and B are Hermitian operators. Now this A prime, A double prime, etc. are eigenkets of A, operator A. Now A being a Hermitian operator, we know that when you consider the matrix element of a Hermitian operator, it doesn't matter whether it acts on the ket vector or on the bra vector. So let us say this A acts on this bra vector. Okay, so I can take it inside. Normally when you take an operator inside a bra vector, it becomes A dagger. But A dagger is equal to A because A is a Hermitian operator. So since A dagger is equal to A, this first term I can write as A acting on or I can write from the right side. I can write it like this. This is bra vector A double prime and A. Okay, it means A is acting on the bra vector, right? So now instead of taking the A dagger, I am simply writing A because A dagger is equal to A, and B A prime. This I am keeping as the same because we don't know what is the result when B operator acts on A prime, ket A prime, because we don't know what is the relationship or how A double prime is with respect to operator B. We only know that this A prime, A double prime, etc. are eigenkets of A. So let us leave it like that. Now on this matrix element, I take this A acts on the ket vector. Okay, because I am considering, I know what happens when A acts on the A double prime, A prime, etc. because these are eigenkets of A. So I will take it to the right. So this part I am leaving like that, and this A I am taking inside the ket vector. Okay, so what we have done is, on the first matrix element I consider that A is acting on the bra vector. On the second matrix element I consider that A is acting on the ket vector. Okay, since A is a Hermitian operator, it doesn't make any difference whether it acts on the ket vector or bra vector. The matrix element or the inner product will not change. Okay, and What is the result of A acting on A double prime? A acting on A double prime, we get A double prime, A double prime. This A double prime, ket A double prime is labeled after the corresponding eigenvalue A prime. So we get that eigenvalue A prime here. And this eigenvalue A prime is real. So we can take it outside the bra vector. It doesn't make any difference. Normally if you take a scalar outside the bra vector, it will become complex conjugate, right? You have to take the adjoint. But here, since this eigenvalue is real, not this, the result of A acting on A double prime, the eigenvalue A double prime is real, I can take it outside. So the result is A double prime. This will be simply bra vector A double prime, B A prime. Okay? Minus, now here also, what is the result of A acting on ket A prime? We get A prime, eigenvalue A prime times ket A prime. And that A prime is also real. I can take it outside. So we have A prime times A double prime B A prime equal to 0. You can see that this A double prime B A prime is common in both terms. I can take it outside. So we have A double prime minus A prime times A double ket bra vector A double prime B ket vector A prime equal to 0. Okay, now look at this. This is the matrix element of B. Okay, and A double prime minus A prime. A double prime and A prime are eigenvalues of A. Let us take the condition that A double prime is not equal to A prime. Okay, now look at here. This part. This factor into this factor is equal to 0. Product of two factors equal to 0. So if this, if A double prime is not equal to A prime, then that means this part is non-zero. Then naturally this part must be 0. So what you get? A double prime, bra vector A double prime, B ket vector A prime is equal to 0. Okay. Now what is this? See. A double prime not equal to A prime means we have two different eigenvalues of operator A. Then what is ket A prime? Ket A prime is the eigenket corresponding to the eigenvalue A prime. Ket A double prime is the eigenket corresponding to the eigenvalue A double prime. Okay. So if A double prime and A prime are two different eigenvalues, then these eigenkets will be different. Okay. So this eigenket will be different from this eigenket. That means if you think about this in terms of the matrix element of B, this eigenket, the bra vector side is the row index of the matrix element. Ket vector indicates the column index of the matrix element. So row index and column index are different. Okay. If row index and column index are different, this represents an off-diagonal matrix element. And this off-diagonal matrix element equal to 0 means the matrix of B is diagonal. Okay, so this implies B is a diagonal matrix. So that is the proof of our theorem. Okay, the theorem states that if we express B in terms of the matrix element, in terms of the eigenkets of A, that's what we have done here. B, the matrix of B is expressed in terms of the eigenkets of A. Okay, A prime, A double prime being the eigenkets of A. Then that matrix of B is also diagonal. We know that matrix of A is diagonal in its own eigenkets. Now we have shown that matrix of B is also diagonal in the eigenkets of A. Okay, and here what is the importance of the condition that eigenvalues of A are non-degenerate? Let us look at here. It's possible that these two eigenkets correspond to the same eigenvalue. That is ket A prime and ket A double prime. Okay, they may correspond to the same eigenvalue. That means that is called degeneracy. That means there is a possibility that A double prime is equal to A prime. Even then, these two eigenkets can be different. That means there can be two different eigenkets corresponding to the same eigenvalue. A prime is equal to A double prime. So that means this ket A prime and ket A double prime can be two different eigenkets. That is, this can be the off-diagonal elements, the row index being different from column index. This can be off-diagonal elements, but if there is degeneracy, these two eigenkets may correspond to the same eigenvalue. In that case, A prime is equal to A double prime. Then what happens is, if A prime is equal to A double prime, this part is 0. Then what about this part? We cannot say. We cannot say whether it is 0 or not, because 0 into 0 is 0, but 0 into a constant is also, a non-zero quantity is also 0. So this off-diagonal element may be 0, may not be 0. That means if there is degeneracy, okay, then these two eigenkets, they will be different, but they may correspond to the same eigenvalue. Okay, A prime can be equal to A double prime. Then in that case, we cannot say this, since this part is 0, we cannot say convincingly, we cannot say surely that this off-diagonal matrix elements are 0, that is B is diagonal. Okay, so in the case of non-degenerate eigenkets, that means if ket A prime and ket A double prime are non-degenerate eigenkets, it ensures that their corresponding eigenvalues should be different. Okay, so for non-degenerate eigenkets, we can surely say that the corresponding eigenvalues are different. Then since this part is non-zero, this part should be 0, that is off-diagonal matrix element should be 0, that is B is diagonal. So for non-degenerate eigenkets of A, it is very easy to show that B is diagonal. What about degenerate eigenkets of A? Okay, we will look at that a little later. We will come into that a little later. So now let us understand that if the eigenkets of A are non-degenerate, okay, then the matrix element, matrix of B in the non-degenerate eigenkets of A are definitely diagonal. Now let us look at a corollary to this theorem, or what is the implication of this theorem. The corollary to the theorem is the eigenkets of A are also the eigenkets of B. Okay, we can guess that because the matrix element of B is matrix of B is diagonal in the eigenkets of A. Okay, we have already earlier we have seen that a matrix of an operator in its own eigenkets is diagonal, right? If an operator is expressed in its own eigenkets, it will be diagonal. The corresponding matrix will be diagonal. So if matrix of B is diagonal in the eigenkets of A, naturally the eigenkets of A are also the eigenkets of B. But let us try to prove this clearly, because earlier what we have shown is if you express an operator in its own eigenkets, its matrix will be diagonal. Now we are trying to prove the reverse. Now we know that now what we are trying to do is, if a matrix is diagonal in a certain base kets, then those base kets are eigenkets of the operator. That's what we want to know, what we want to show. We have shown that the matrix of B is diagonal in the eigenkets of A. Okay, in the bases which are the eigenkets of A. Now we want to show that this basis, eigenkets of A, are also the eigenkets of B. Okay, so essentially what we are trying to do is the reverse of that earlier result, that if an operator is diagonal in a certain base case, that base case will be the eigenkets of the operator. That's what we want to show. So let us try to establish this corollary technically. So I will start like this. Consider the matrix element of B in the eigenkets of A. We know that this matrix will be diagonal. So how do we write it? We can write like this: delta A prime, A double prime, A prime, B, A prime. Okay, we can write it like this. That means if A prime is not equal to A double prime, right hand side is 0. Okay, so that means off diagonal elements are 0. If A prime, let's say A double prime is equal to A prime, okay, then this is 1 and the matrix element is exactly this. These are the diagonal matrix elements. So essentially this means that the general matrix element is equal to diagonal matrix element. The matrix is diagonal. Okay. Okay. Now what I am going to do is, let us try to get an expression for the operator B. First of all, I am introducing this completeness condition on either side of operator B. Okay, like this. Okay. Now here sum over A double prime ket A double prime, bra vector A double prime. This must be equal to identity because the base kets are complete. Okay, the eigenkets of A are form a complete set. So this is the completeness condition of the eigenkets of A. And the same completeness condition I am also going to express in terms of another index A prime. Okay. So essentially I am introducing an identity here and an identity here. So for the left hand side identity I am expressing the completeness in terms of the index A double prime. For the identity on the right side of B I am using the index A prime. That's all. So you have B here. Okay. And on the right side ket A prime, bra vector A prime. Summation is here. Okay. The idea is clear now. Introduce an identity here, introduce an identity here. For this identity, I am introducing this completeness condition. Essentially, the completeness of the eigenkets of A, operator A. And for the identity on the right side of B, I am introducing the completeness condition in terms of another index. That's all. Okay. Now, what I am going to do is instead of this matrix element, I am substituting this because these matrix elements are essentially only diagonal matrix elements are non-zero. Okay. So we have sum over A prime, A double prime. You have this ket A double prime, and here let us introduce this, that is delta A prime, A double prime, A prime, B, A prime. Then you have bra vector A prime. Okay, whenever there is a Kronecker delta in a summation, one of these summations should go. One of the summations corresponding to either of the two index should go. So let me eliminate this summation. Okay, so summation of our A prime, where A prime varies over all possible values. In this summation, only one value will remain non-zero. Which value? A prime equal to A double prime. Okay, so let me, this summation will go. So the only summation that remaining is this one. But A prime should be equal to A double prime. That means you have to put A double prime here. So what you have is ket A double prime. When you put A prime is equal to A double prime, this is 1. But here also you have to substitute for A prime equal to A double prime. Okay. So then you have A double prime, B, A double prime, then bra vector A double prime. Okay. So if the matrix is the matrix of B is diagonal in a particular base kets, then the operator B you can express like this. Okay. This is a general expression where you have introduced completeness condition on either side. When you come from here to here, there is a difference. Okay, there is a difference. This cannot be. This is not so obvious. This is possible. An operator can be expressed like this only if it is diagonal. Okay, only if it is diagonal. Okay. Now let us proceed further. Let's ask the question, what happens when B operates on an eigenket of A? We know that ket A prime is an eigenket of operator A. What happens when operator B acts on an eigenket? Does it satisfy an eigenvalue equation? If so, then we can say that this eigenket of A is also an eigenket of B. Okay, let us proceed. So instead of operator B, I am going to substitute this. Okay, so this is equal to sum over A double prime, ket A double prime, then this matrix element A double prime, B, A double prime, which are essentially diagonal matrix elements. Then you have bra vector A double prime. This is operator B and it is acting on this ket A prime. So ket A prime will come here. Immediately you can see that this inner product, since the eigenkets of A are orthonormal, this inner product is equal to delta A prime, A double prime. Okay. So again you have a Kronecker delta. This comes from another source. This comes from the orthonormality of the eigenkets of A. Okay. Earlier this Kronecker delta comes from the idea that diagonal elements of B, matrix elements of B are diagonal. Okay. So this inner Kronecker delta comes from the orthonormality of the eigenkets of A. So we have a Kronecker delta, then this summation will go, only one term will remain non-zero, which term? A double prime is equal to A prime. Okay, so what you are getting is, put A double prime equal to A prime, this is 1, what you get here is A prime, then here A prime, B, A prime. Now this is this matrix element, this diagonal matrix element of D. Okay. Let me put simply as some scalar B prime. Some scalar B prime, because it's a matrix element of B. It's a diagonal matrix element of B. So my point is, let this diagonal matrix element of B, it must be some scalar. Okay, let it be equal to B. Some B prime. Some scalar. Then what is the nature of this equation? Left hand side is operator B acting on ket A prime. Right hand side is ket A prime into a scalar B prime. This scalar B prime I can write anywhere. So let me write the right hand side as B prime into ket A prime. Now look at this equation. Operator B acts on an eigenket of A, ket A prime. What you get is a scalar times ket A prime. Now this is an eigenvalue equation. Eigenvalue equation of operator B. B prime is the eigenvalue and ket A prime is the eigenket. So this shows that ket A prime is an eigenket of B. And this is one of the eigenkets of operator A. If you repeat this for any eigenket, you will get the same result. That means the eigenkets of A are also the eigenkets of B. Okay. So we can say that this set of eigenkets of A is a set of common eigenkets of A and B. Okay, the eigenkets of A is a set of common eigenkets of A and B. Remember, we have taken a special condition that eigenkets of A are non-degenerate. So we can say that all the non-degenerate eigenkets of A are also eigenkets of B. All the non-degenerate eigenkets of A. This result is so far applicable only to the non-degenerate eigenkets of A. So what we have proved here beyond doubt is that all the non-degenerate eigenkets of A are also eigenkets of B, or they are common eigenkets of A and B. Another point I have to mention is, instead of common in many textbooks, the word simultaneous is used. Okay, normally it is said that all the non-degenerate eigenkets of A are simultaneous eigenkets of B. It means common eigenkets of B. So the word simultaneous means common. Okay, not in the sense of temporal sense. That means not in the sense of at the same time. There is no time involved here. Okay, so it only means common. Okay, so what we have shown here is that if one operator has if two operators are commuting operators, that means they are compatible operators, then they are commuting operators. Then if one of the operators has a set of non-degenerate eigenkets, or if all the eigenkets of A are non-degenerate, then they are also eigenkets of B. The matrix element of matrix of B expressed in the eigenkets of A is diagonal. That means the eigenkets of if it is diagonal, this basis, that is the eigenkets of A, are also the eigenkets of B. So the non-degenerate eigenkets of A are common eigenkets for A and B.